All right, we are back, and we will start our segment, Climate News. There's a lot of world news to talk about tonight. A lot of similar situations across the globe, not just one region of the world. And what's ironic about that is that I talked to you guys about how GSM is regional, and right now we're seeing a lot of precipitation that it seems like much of the globe is getting. So this is a very intense period right now as far as climate goes for our weather. And I'll get more into that now, which leads me into that. Recent tornadoes are due to unusually cold weather. Yes, absolutely. Dr. Roy Spencer has showed us the temperature anomaly maps here. We are seeing the darker green, which stands for negative 13 degrees below average. Now, I am not claiming to be some famous weatherman, but we've seen this severe weather outbreak forming in this pattern right here. Okay? So there's much, much, much colder air in the northern plains and funnels down to the central plains. And then we have this above average heat that builds in this area where nothing really changed. But what we need when it comes to tornadic activity is a balance of cold air and warm air colliding. So you're asking yourself, why are we seeing so many tornadoes this year? Why didn't we see it last year? Because last year's atmosphere was not as cold as it is this year. This year's atmosphere is so cold compared to last year's. We didn't have any tornado outbreaks. And so that leads you to the next question. Well, if we're cooling, how come we didn't see anything like this last year in 2017? Well, remember, guys, 2016 was the max peak of where we are today with our global anomaly here, this chart, this bad boy here. So we take a look at 2016, and we're right here. So the atmosphere is pretty warm right now. 0.88 above baseline was the peak in 2016. All right. And then we started falling right here. 2017, we were still about 0.65 degrees above baseline. That's still warm. I mean, compared to where we were, we're still warm. Okay, this cold doesn't just happen overnight. It takes time. And as the time goes by, here we are today at 0.44 degrees above Celsius. So even though you don't think 0.44 degrees Celsius is that much colder, when you talk about it on a global scale, it really is. Right now, we're looking at numbers slightly above 1987, 1988. Right now, what we're talking about. This is where we are right now, between 88 and 89, temperature-wise. I remember the winters back then. They were pretty freaking cold. And it's going to continue to plunge. So is this where we're going to be at by this time in 2020? Maybe. I mean, according to this, follow this chart. Talking about 87 into 88, and then by the time we got to late 89, early 89, we bottomed out at -4. Oh, when was that? Oh, that was during a solar minimum. Yeah, the bottom part of it. So each year we see cooling in the atmosphere, okay? And it brings us to this paper that Dr. Roy Spencer talked about here with the tornadoes. Why are we seeing so many? This map says it all right here. I mean, check this out. That's official. That's not Dr. Roy Spencer. That's Tropical Tidbits reporting here. Or wait, this actually is a different source. I apologize for that. But the point is, the Weather Bell. And Joe Bastardi actually I saw this on his Twitter account today. This right here. The proof is right in front of your face, folks. The proof is right in front of your face. Look at this. Lowest in history as far as tornadoes, 2018. 2018, lowest in history. We're gonna really do some damage to that number this year. The average from 86 to 2018 was 33.8%, or 33.8, yeah, tornadoes a year. The average in 54 to 85 was 59. So if you go back to the 50s and go to the 80s, and then you take from 86 to now, you will see that we are having fewer tornadoes up until that point. And then we talk about 2019 being cold again in the atmosphere. During the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and 80s, especially during the 70s, the 77 winter, the 56 winter, I believe. 52, I'm sorry. We're talking about colder atmospheres. Interesting to look at 1974, guys. F3 tornadoes that year climbed up to almost 140. That's crazy. And that was the year that we had the super tornado outbreak. 74, I believe, was also, if I'm not mistaken, well, at the beginning of a minimum. So it's just funny to me that it's not just this channel. It's people like Dr. Roy Spencer. That's right, Dr. Roy Spencer, PhD. Joe Bastardi, Weather Bell. These guys are work with the real data, telling the truth at their own risk. Because we all know how popular you are when you start telling everybody about cooling. And that's being sarcastic, by the way. So, Fox News, Roy Spencer, why so many tornadoes? It's not AOC, Bernie Sanders, or what you may think. Progressive politicians like Al Gore and Senator Bernie Sanders and AOC don't hesitate to blame any kind of severe weather, even if it's decreasing over time, on global warming. With the devastating Dayton, Ohio tornadoes fresh in our minds, it's a useful examine exactly why modest global warming has produced fewer, not more, of such events. The simple answer is that tornado formation requires unusually cool air. Very few thunderstorms produce tornadoes in the hot and humid tropics that are virtually unheard of. Okay? The reason why is that unlike hurricanes, tornadoes require strong wind shear, which means wind speed increasing and changing direction with height in the lower atmosphere. These conditions exist only when a cool air mass collides with warm air mass. And then perfect conditions for this have existed this year as winter has refused to lose its grip on the western United States. So far, the month of May of 2019, the average temperature across the United States is 2 degrees below normal Fahrenheit, by the way. So far this month of May, the average temperature across the U.S. is down 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Every year, springtime thunderstorms in central and southeast U.S. have plenty of warm, moist air to draw from the Gulf of Mexico, where they generally don't have as persistent cold air mass producing strong wind shear at the boundary between a warm and cold air mass. In recent decades, slow warming in the U.S. has been accompanied by a few of these cold springtime air masses over the west, with the result, based upon the National Weather Service statistics and long-term trend of EF3 tornadoes to EF5 tornadoes, has been decidedly downward, with 2018 experiencing the lowest in activity in history. But this year's snows have extended late May from northern Michigan through Colorado, the Sierra of California. As a result of this persistent cold air mass, as of May 27th, we are well above normal for total U.S. tornadoes. This is what weather does. It varies from year to year, the alarm claims of AOC, Gore, and Sanders are not just speculative. They opposed by our observations and by meteorological theory. Yeah, Fox News still got it wrong. Yeah, this happens from year to year, but what we're getting ready to go into is not a year-to-year thing here. This is going to be persistent. 2020 is going to be beyond what we're seeing right now. And if you think this spring is bad, I'm telling you, unless the atmosphere really cools down a lot and it brings down global temperatures too, next spring is more than likely going to be just as active on the tornado side of this. If this is a sign of what happens during the colder atmospheres when it collides with the warm air, which obviously we just read. So very concerning here. We got to really be ready, guys. If you're not in a plan where you're able to, and not everybody can afford to relocate. So at this point, it's best we start learning how to prep and be ready and be aware and know what's coming instead of being caught with the pants down around our ankles. That's what I'm more worried about for a lot of people. I mentioned it on a show earlier that a family member of mine, he doesn't care about this stuff because it doesn't happen to him. It doesn't affect his daily life. And then this tornado hits just a mile away from his house. And even after that, he still had the gall to tell me that it didn't affect him. It didn't bother him one bit. Meanwhile, the entire city of Dayton is struggling to perform normal daily tasks in most neighborhoods. Running water, power, cleanup, reconstruction. It's happening right in his own backyard, and he still said it doesn't affect him yet. Well, it's going to affect you when people lose their jobs because their job is destroyed from the storm. So they don't have money to go out and eat, or they don't have money to go out and spend at entertainment places. They don't have money to go out and spend that they would normally go spend at the mall on the weekends. It might take a little while for these folks to recover. So if you don't see it now, you don't feel it now, you will here soon. The local economy is affected by things like this. And it's not living in fear or walking on eggshells. It's simply being aware. That's what we're here for. To educate you guys. To hopefully help you connect the dots. 2 weeks, Mother Nature finally gives the nation a reprieve on Thursday by ending an unprecedented tornado streak of 13 days. On each of those days, we looked at least 8 tornado reports a day. The average tornado for May, I believe, daily, I think is somewhere around 3 daily. That's the average. The streak reached 11 days on Monday night when a flurry of tornadoes ripped through Indiana, Ohio, including the EF4 twister that struck Dayton, Ohio. Did you see that, Mari? Did you hear what I just said? What did I say the night that happened? EF4. Now they are calling it an official EF4 tornado that struck Dayton, Ohio. When I saw the damage of this, for them to even say it was an E2 or EF3 was insulting. The damage that I saw was similar to what the EF5 had put in Xenia in 1974. I haven't seen this article yet, guys, so I apologize for kind of pointing that out. But I told Mari the night we looked at the footage, and I said, that's an EF4. And they are now officially calling it an EF4. The next night, a destructive tornado, also an EF4, ripped through Linwood, Kansas. These are just a few of the massive tornadoes that have touched down recently in the country and extended the streak almost 2 weeks. Tuesday was day 12. It collapsed in an old record of 11, which ended on June 7th of 1980. Coming out of a minimum. And remember, we had some cold temperatures in the 76, 77, 78, 79 winters. So that's not surprising either. You see what I'm saying, guys? You put the cold air in the atmosphere, the colder air, and we can take you back to each big record like this. And correlate it with solar activity. Low solar activity equals cool temperatures. That's all I'm saying, guys. All right, so we get some good stuff here. Where are we at? There was one other. Okay, so let's go to some juicy drama. All right. Juicy drama with AOC. That's what we should call the segment. AOC films first Washington, D.C. tornado warning, the climate crisis. Oh, really? Let's see. Oh, let's see. Tap to play. These are just picture slides. Oh, wait. What's the sound? Rule of politics is that the person who raises the most money and spends the most money. Shitty sound quality. Hey, that's great. That's great, AOC. I'm glad something so important gets posted on your Instagram that has the worst quality audio ever, so it's hard to understand. Good job. Good job. Let's just read the article. Let's say here, so she's starting to raise alarms because the tornadoes. Remember, I just explained to everybody and showed you guys the proof why we have the tornadoes. DrRoySpencer.com, AccuWeather talks about it. And again, AccuWeather is known for their man-made global warming comment. So they're showing us the proof that it's a cooler atmosphere colliding with warmer air that creates these tornadoes. But what does AOC have to say about it? Guys, they just issued a tornado watch in D.C., she said before turning to her camera and staff. They were standing together in her office. In a series of photos showing AOC urged her followers to focus on the fight against climate change. The climate crisis is real, y'all, she wrote in a text across her story. Y'all, pointing to her proposed Green New Deal in the middle of the storm. Guess we're at casual tornadoes in growing regions of the country. Climate change is believed to be the course.
I found this on the web for what is a series of Florida.
Thank you, Siri. Appreciate the help. Climate change is believed to be the changing course and strength of tornadoes, moving deadlier ones to the regions that previously had faced lesser ones. No. Remember, climate change is global warming. And you need cold air, lots of it, to produce the kind of tornado activity that we have seen. So wrong again, AOC. You're scaring people by lying. All right, I'm raising my voice now. Let's get away from AOC. She might be a trigger for me. I don't know. Every time I see something with her talking about the climate, it just, I can't believe she's actually elected. Who elected? Who voted for her? Please, I'd love to meet you and ask questions. I'm curious why you voted for this woman. This person does not know what she's talking about. I'm sorry. It's embarrassing that our United States government elects officials who are as ignorant and fear porn and alarmism as she is. Clueless. The list could go on all night, guys. I gotta get away from her. It's just, I gotta get away. 10 of 10 coastal Antarctic stations show zero warming over the past decade. Failed scientists need to resign. Agreed. Interesting. So I always hear about the western side of Antarctica. It's warming and it's melting so fast. We're losing so many billions tons of ice every year. The polar bears are starving. And then we go and we see the actual data. And it says, nah, baby, nah. There is no warming. and then you show people this link, right? You show people this link. And they'll go, oh, well, this is just a blog. A blog with accurate information and links to hundreds of peer-reviewed articles. Okay? Not just a couple of papers. Hundreds of papers that show what we're talking about. Guys, you go to this website, just go to the right. Right here, cooling papers, non-warming graphs. The list goes on. Climate videos, Climate Gate, the German and English version. Nice. Raw data from all over the world. And then, of course, other blog sites that post information for like-minded folks. So a great, great source of information here. No trick zone. And, just another way to show everybody that there is actual data out there, proof that we are cooling. And I kind of wanted to share the Antarctic situation because I always hear about how Antarctica is just, melting. It's so warm there right now and blah, blah, blah. And, here we find out 10 of 10 coastal Antarctic stations show zero warming over past decades. Here's our buddy, old Alfred. He's telling Harvard students now there's an assault on science that threatens humanity. Let's have a listen. This ought to be good. Ooh, it's
Thank you very much.
So proper.
Thank you so much, Cleanna. I really appreciate that introduction. And let me say,
so does your wallet.
To the class of 2019, I really cannot emphasize enough how grateful I am for the honor of your invitation to be here as a speaker on your class day. Thank you very much. It means a great deal to me. Dean Rukesh Khurana, Catherine Zhang, and all of the members of the in commencement in those terms. He was not only saving our union, but he was also recognizing the fact that democracies are rare in history. And they often do not last.
Okay, so anyway, if you guys want to watch that, that's here for you, all that good crap. But listen, Gore issued his warning in a speech to Harvard students and faculty Wednesday, stressing reason and rational debate. Indeed, democracy itself, we're under threat from ideology. Science is now being slandered by a conspiracy-based hoax. Oh, that's ironic. Gore said, likely referring to the 2012 Trump tweet where he called man-made global warming a Chinese hoax. Trump wasn't even president yet, guys. Think about that. He was just one of many who wasn't buying this crap. The subordination of the best scientific evidence to the cynical greed of those, but stressing the power of a would-be autocrat is yet another strategy for controlling policy by distorting and suppressing the best available information. Like what they're doing right now. Controlling policy by distorting and suppressing the best information available. That's what you're doing right now, Mr. Gore. That's what you've done to our channel. And I know you've done it to our channel. And I'm proud. I guess I'm doing something right if I get messed with by you and your cronies. So the ideology of authoritism is not only the threat to democracy in America, now because it attacks on climate science. It has become a threat to survival of human civilization as we know it, even potentially the capacity of human species to endure. In order to solve the climate crisis, we must solve the democracy crisis. Wow. The system of checks and balances has protected the integrity of our American system for more than 2 centuries and has already been dangerously eroded. So what he's saying is, for so long, Al Gore has gotten away with the man-made global warming. And because of people like me and you, folks, that are listening, the drumbeat's getting louder. We're debunking it. And the one thing that's eroding are the government funding projects for man-made global warming. That's what he's talking about. He's more worried about, if he's going to get his next speaker fee. Of course, he had to mention the flooding and tornado. And he put it on man-made global warming, echoing recent attempts by, AOC to do the same in Iowa. Speaking of winds, the winds are increasingly destructive in our world. No crap, Sherlock. Yesterday was the 13th day in a row where multiple tornado touched down in the United States. 500 this month. Well, thank you, Alfred, for pointing that out. Because we just talked about why we have so many tornadoes. And it has nothing to do with global warming or man or any of that. Cold air. Oh, I hope Al watches somehow. I hope somehow somebody who just one of his cronies breaks the clips up and says, listen to what this guy's saying about you. Yeah, listen, buddy. Listen to this broadcast. That's the point we're here, guys, to show you the proof against these clowns who don't know anything about the climate. Say what you want about my lack of degrees, but I understand what's happening. I'm able to draw conclusions. I'm able to connect the dots. I'm able to report about events that are related. Guess what drives the climate, folks? You got it. The sun. What? Say it with me. It's the sun. That's right. It's the sun. All right, so let's move on. Fun with Al Gore is over. Scientists tackle a burning question. Will our quiet sun turn violet? Okay, not bad. Let's skim this and see if we can find anything. So far, we're looking at a blank screen. It's fun. It's black. There's nothing going on. We are live. Thank you for being here. I can only extend this segment another few more seconds, and okay. So we're moving on. Oh, see if it shows up now. Might be just a bad link, folks. I will leave it up on the website. Hopefully it works for you guys. That would be a great question to be answered. Climate home news, deadly Japan heat wave, essentially impossible without global warming. That's false too. We just talked about this. I just can't believe that. Yeah, I can. I'm just joking. Check it out. Once again, though, No Trick Zone. Oh, I'm sorry. This is not a lot of people know that. Another great blog site, by the way. Read many articles from this website, but they want to bring up the point, and I'm sure a lot of people are saying, well, without global warming, okay, so it's hot in Japan. Okay, it's hot in Japan. Gotcha. But Japan's not that big. It's definitely not the size of the United States. My point I'm trying to make is that there's a whole lot more cooling going on right now than there is warming. Guys, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.